It is item 4, resolution of the Central Falls City Council rescinding, withdrawing, denouncing, invalidating, and terminating the August 5th, 1991, quote, resolution regarding Central Falls Detention Facility Corporation, unquote, introduced by Council President Rivera.
So looking for a motion to rescind the resolution of the Central Falls City Council.
Public comments, Madam
Thank you. Is there a
Chairman?
second?
Second.
Requesting public comments.
Motion to approve the resolution.
A motion to approve the resolution. So, motion by Acosta, second by Vega. And I'm going to ask the city solicitor to speak on this.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to walk through some procedural and substantive history in regards to the motion and resolution before you, and then we'll ask Attorney Robert Weber from the Law Department, who assisted in drafting this resolution, to offer some specific historical guidance on what's before you tonight. And I will endeavor as best I can to be and entertain the questions from the council. When in 2009, the Wyatt stopped making payments to the city of Central Falls. When the Municipal Detention Facility Act passed the state of Rhode Island in 1991, and shortly thereafter the Wyatt was born in Central Falls because of that state statute, the facility was seen not only as a way to house federal detainees, but also as an economic engine for a city in a post-industrial decline where manufacturing was leaving. This would be an opportunity for be an economic benefit to the city in two ways. One, jobs, and secondly, revenue. It was clearly anticipated that there would be payments in lieu of taxes or impact fees paid to the city. And for a while, in fact, they were. In 2009, they stopped. And that flowed from the death of an immigrant detainee who was shown to have inadequate medical care. The failure of the Wyatt to make payments to the city was one of the reasons the city then went into financial peril, which led to receivership and bankruptcy. The city was receiving on average about $300,000 a year. When those payments stopped, it became an immediate concern for the city budget. Fast forward to January of 2013, Mayor Diosa was sworn in as mayor, and April of 2013 the state receivership ended. The mayor's first appointment was to make, at that time, State Police Colonel Brendan Doherty the chair of the Wyatt Board. Thereafter, he named attorney and advocate for the business community Kelly Sheridan chairman of the Wyatt Board, and after that Luke Gallant, who is a prominent corrections professional, chair of the board. And so after being inaugurated, the mayor made 3 very high-profile appointments to be chair of the Wyatt Board in an attempt to figure out why is the Wyatt owing over $100 million in debt? Why is it not making payments to the city? Why is it not a healthy and vital partner with the city? All 3 chairs came back to the mayor and said, Mayor, it's insolvent. The debt is crushing the institution, and there is no viable way, in our judgment, that the institution can ever get out from underneath that crushing debt. And so in mid-2014, the board of the Wyatt voted to file for receivership, and indeed a petition for receivership was filed, and this matter was litigated in front of Judge Silverstein. The board, with the city's support, argued that the Wyatt, with over $100 million in debt, was insolvent, and the folks that opposed that were the bondholders. The bondholders were the people who funded the Wyatt's renovations, I believe, in 2005, 2006, upwards of $100 million. And it was considered a very expensive renovation, and they are the creditor. They're the ones who are owed the money, that put up the money to to renovate the building. And so after many, many, many months, a keepership was created by order of the court in Rhode Island. John Savage was named keeper as opposed to receiver. It's a legal difference. And he negotiated a settlement which was called a forbearance agreement. And the word forbearance, you can think about, you know, if you have student loans, sometimes you get a forbearance, and that's what this meant. That the bondholders, the creditor, who were owed over $100 million, would, for 4 years, allow a forbearance and not take action on the money owed to them. And so, and there was a whole bunch of conditions in that agreement. To the city, there was an agreement of $16,666 a month, which equated to about $200,000 a year for 4 years, or $800,000. There was contemplation of a blue ribbon commission being created because everybody agreed that in this new market, maybe you think about behavioral health services, substance abuse services. Are there ways to use that building that are not strictly detention, but addressing immediate community needs like substance abuse and behavioral health? And in a recognition that in the past, prior mayors had politicized the Wyatt in unhealthy ways, the city agreed in that forbearance agreement that the mayor would appoint and the council would approve members to the board, and there would be no other involvement in the management of the corporation. So that was late 2014, 2015. They indeed started making payments to the city for 2 years. And then on New Year's Eve 2016, on the January 31st of 16, December 31st, January 1st, 17, inmate Morales escaped. And again, these are not these two major incidents, the death of the prisoner in 2008-9, I forget the specific date, and the escape of Morales had nothing to do with the city. They had to do with the corporation's management of its facility. So post Morales, the Wyatt made payments through August of 2017 and then stopped. And since August of 2017, the Wyatt has not made any payments to the city. And so the couple of important points to mention since that time, they were instructed by the U.S. Marshal's Office to build an additional fence. My understanding is they built that fence. In exchange, or as a part thereof, they signed a 20-year contract with the U.S. Marshal Service. And as a part of that, received a substantial rate increase. So they were given more money per detainee per day. And so sitting here today, I believe they have around 500, leave ICE aside for a second, non-ICE detainees around 500. That's what they had about the time that Morales escaped, and that they had enough money then to make payments to the city. But they have the same census now. They're not making payments to the city. And they have about $2.5 million of additional money because of that rate increase every year. So they have a rate increase, their population is back up, and they still refuse to make payments to the city. And then, as this council knows, in January, there was a document that came to the city's attention last Tuesday that the warden, without vetting or approval of the board of the Wyatt, or vetting or approval of apparently of not many people, signed a modification of that contract with the marshals it was a rider to that agreement, to allow the Attorney General Sessions, President Trump, Southwest Border Zero Tolerance Initiative, to free up 225 beds in Central Falls' Wyatt Detention Center for that purpose. And that brings us to the present as to what is before you today, which is a consideration of how this all started. And how this all started was a state law passed, and the state law said, all 39 cities and towns, if you want a municipal detention facility in your town or city, the following steps need to be taken. And one of those steps was that the City Council of Central Falls had to take action. And so what is before you, and I'll turn it over at this point to Attorney Weber, is this council's consideration of whether you should rescind what the council did at that time.
Good evening. Attorney Robert. So essentially, as Attorney Jerzyk alluded to, back in around 1991, back approximately 1991, the state passed a law, Title 45, Chapter 54, which allowed each and every city and town in Rhode Island to create a municipal detention facility if they so chose. Specifically, as part of that title, 4554-4 says that a resolution conclusive as to capacity of corporation. And the relevant piece of that is that the corporation, I'll quote it, the corporation is exclusively deemed to be established and authorized to transact business and exercise its powers upon proof of the adoption of a resolution by the city or town council declaring the need for the corporation to function. So after several meetings in 1991, the council convened on August 5th of 1991 and passed such a resolution, which is before you. It's attached to the resolution. And essentially, that resolution states, be it hereby resolved that the City Council of the City of Central Falls support the passage of an act creating municipal detention facilities and directs its legislation delegation for its passage. And in there it also states that there is a need for the detention facility to function within the City of Central Falls. So, what you have before you tonight is a resolution essentially rescinding that August 5th, 1991 resolution. What the resolution states is that since August 5th, 1991, and the initial creation and development of the Wyatt Detention Center, there have been material changes to the corporation's operations, its financial viability, and its impact in the City of Central Falls and its residents. It also says that, as Attorney Jerzyk already stated, the Wyatt has been previously placed in receivership. It's been forced to enter into a forbearance agreement with its bondholders and the city due to its inability to make a profit or, in the very least, make minimum payments on its debts and taxes. And that, due to these fundamental changes at the Wyatt, the City Council hereby rescinds, withdraws, denounces, invalidates, and terminates the August 5th, 1991 resolution regarding the Central Falls Detention Facility Corporation. And then finally, that due to the fundamental changes with the Central Falls Detention Facility Corporation, there is no longer a need for the corporation to function within the City of Central Falls. That's the resolution that you're being asked to pass. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Weber. So, what is the end game here? This particular resolution is strictly the financial portion of what we're facing today. I know the other area that was under discussion before was, or recently in the last few days, was the type of detainees that we had. So, at this point, we have 500 inmates, is that correct?
That is correct. Well, 500 non-ICE detainees, around 100.
So, at this point, I know the original agreement over the years, there was a threshold. When they get over a certain amount of inmates, I don't know what the number was, whether it was 300, 400. I understand the bondholders would get their money first. The City of Central Falls would then get money when they reach that threshold. Apparently, they have reached the threshold where we should be at this time receiving some funding, correct?
So, yes, it's the city's belief, based on the fact that when they stopped sending the city $16,000 a month payments, and the situation there now, that they're roughly at the same amount of inmates, that they should still be making that payment to the city.
Okay. So this is just like as if somebody owed taxes to the City of Central Falls. It's similar, where we have avenues. have we exhausted every avenue to get what we feel is our rightful monies from the detention facility? Have we exhausted every avenue? Have we met with them?
I'm of the belief that we have. I also think that this resolution doesn't necessarily hinge upon just the fact that they haven't paid us taxes.
Not taxes, but in general, no monies have
Just
come forward.
in general, any money. I think that this resolution, we're talking about what the state law asked the council to do and what the council did in 1991 to say that there is a need for the Wyatt Detention Center to function in the city of Central Falls.
So what I'm driving at, so this resolution basically cuts us off from the Wyatt Detention Facility. So we currently are having, we're getting no money from them. If we pass this resolution, we still won't be getting any money from them. I just want to know what the end game is, and are we prepared to take, I'm sure they'll take legal action against this city council in this city. Maybe this is a question for Matt. Are we prepared, funding-wise, for a battle should this be challenged by the Wyatt Detention Facility? And are you going to be the one to defend the city, or we have to pay an outside attorney? These are some of the questions I'm concerned down the road. I want to know what the end game is. Well, I know it's only a resolution. I certainly understand that. Is this the end game with the Wyatt Center?
I will defer to Attorney Jurzik, but I think, in my opinion, I think it would be unfair to speculate about what the Wyatt is going to do once this resolution is passed. I think that would just be...
What are we prepared to do? Is this it? Is this cut off funding forever? This is the end?
Councilman, can we let the city solicitor?
Sure, absolutely. Yep.
The role of the mayor, so the bondholder's lawyer in Boston, as the members of the council probably know at this point, has sent correspondence, threatening correspondence to city officials, questioning your ability to exercise your First Amendment rights and talk about this issue and exercise your First Amendment rights to walk down the street about this issue, and certainly also what is before you. I think the response to that is the statute specifically provides this council with a role in this process. The statute itself is called the Municipal Detention Corporations Act. It is a, by definition, municipal corporation. And so, obviously, it's a quasi-municipal corporation, but this council has two very specific roles in the creation and/or the ongoing operations of the Wyatt Detention Facility. Number one, you authorize its creation, which this council did in, is it 91 or 93?
91.
In 1991. And if this council wants to revisit your opinion, which a resolution is your official legal opinion, on that matter, you have the right to do that. And that is required by statute. For the Wyatt to have its legal existence requires the council to have passed this resolution, as Attorney Weber said, a resolution of need. Secondly, you provide advice and consent to approve nominees to the board. And so this letter from the bondholder saying that you have no role in the corporation and shall not have any role, and you're infringing on the bondholders' rights to collect on their debt, simply ignores the basic plain language of the statute, which gives this council two very prominent roles. And so I think, to answer Councilman Ferry's question, the council has the right to vet what happened in 1991 and to change its mind or have a different opinion on the matter because time has passed. I will say, as someone who's been central to the negotiations with the Wyatt and the bondholders for 6 years, I can provide my testimony that all options have been exhausted. 6 years, all options have been exhausted. Everything, the city has worked with them on alternative ideas, even worked with them. They've had issues with correctional officers, the high turnover rate, and the city has offered to promote job opportunities so they can have more job applicants, to speaking with congressional delegations, speaking at State House. And so I can't think of any other way the city could not have bent over backwards to find a way to save the wire. And at this point, I refer back to the 3 prominent chairs who said in 2013-14 that it's financially insolvent and there's no plan that will save it.
Thank you. Councilman Acosta.
Well, I have a question for you that may come in the form of an answer for the councilman. It's my understanding that based on point 4 of the whereas of the original 1991 resolution, neither the faith and credit nor the taxing power of the city of Central Falls shall be pledged, that we consented to this entity being a tax exempt entity. I have requested to the state, our state delegation, that we revoke this institution's tax exempt status. Would approving today's resolution allow us to move forward with that at a state legislative level?
I don't think today's resolution would stop you passed or not. I think you could still do that at state level. Again, what this is at the very base of this whole municipal detention facility corporation, the state gave this city's council the ability to say yes or no to it. Is there a need or is there not? And on August 5th, 1991, the need, it was stated by the city council at that time that the need existed. That state statute also allows for the tax exempt portion, which you see in the resolution. That separate section I don't think has anything to do with this resolution tonight. This resolution again is just at the bare minimum what this council had to do in order to allow the corporation to function and start to develop the...
So more specifically, did this 1991 council legally, in the form of a resolution, consent to that institution being tax exempt?
Yes, I believe they would have, because once you say there's a need, now that state law that was enacted before the resolution was passed allows for the Y to be created as a tax exempt entity, yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I would like another bite of the apple, just quickly, I'm sorry. So the resolution before us actually doesn't address the tax situation. So as the councilman alluded to, there's a possibility down the road we could withdraw that tax exemption from the agreement with the facility. I don't think the resolution here tonight addresses that. The original one does, but this doesn't. It just seems tonight's resolution would wipe everything out anyway. Again, what is the end game here tonight with this resolution?
The end game with this resolution is you, as a council, are giving your opinion that there is no need for the Wyatt Detention Facility to function within the city of Central Falls. That is the end game. That is really all that's happening tonight, is that you are saying, in August 5th of 1991, the city council at that time said there was a need. Now it's April 3rd, 2019. That need no longer exists. That's what you're saying through this resolution tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for the additional time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? You want me to do a roll call or you want me to do? All those in favor?
Public comment?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed?